The Shooting Range. In this episode, Alexander Arkhangelskiy and his dive bomber. Testing our aim with the Fritz-X. Hotline, the developers answer question that you've left in the comments. But first, let's start with checking out that long-awaited IS-7. The IS-7 is finally here. It was really difficult to obtain it, so let's figure out, was it worth it? In short, yes, it sure was. The IS-7 is a true monster with great armor and firepower. The weapon here is a naval 130mm cannon, the S-70. The autoloader can hold 7 shots and fires every 10 seconds. After that, you'll need to wait about 30 seconds until the first-order ammo rack is full again. Maximum ammo load is 30 shells, but we don't recommend driving around with a full load as it fills the entire tank. Typically, you don't need more than 15 shells for a good match. You've got 2 types of them. First, the HE shells that we'll put aside, as 32mm of penetration probably won't help you. And then there are the APCBC shells piercing 260mm from 100 meters. It isn't the best penetration rate for BR 8.0, but the behind armor effect here is just devastating. You rarely need more than 1 shot at each enemy. The turret rotates quite fast, 16.5 degrees per second. As for the elevation angles, they could have been better, only from -3 to +15 degrees. Not very suitable for combat between some hills, is it? The armor gives us a 150mm upper glacis plate at a 59-degree angle, which results in 340 to 350mm of effective thickness. A very good result. As for the lower plate, it's very similar to the IS-3, and by that we mean that it's weak as hell. Almost any shell on this rating can get through. In the turret, depending on where you're looking, the effective thickness varies between 150mm and 450mm, and the sides are, well, different. The lower part is as thin as the lower glacis plate, and the upper part will give you up to 400mm of protection, especially if you're good at angling. The engine compartment here works at its fullest. In RB, the IS-7 speeds up to 39 to 40 kph off-road, and in AB, it can easily beat 60 kph, and the reverse speed climbs up to 22 kph. It's a great result for a 68-ton monster. The survivability is also good, thanks to 5 crew members at a time, and the smokes, well, the smokes are a downside here. Only 2 smoke grenades and no ESS. Now, how do you play it? In arcade, your best friends are the penetration and deflection indicators. As we've already said, the IS-7 isn't the one to penetrate every metal plate in the game. So, if you still haven't memorized the weak spots of all your enemies, feel free to look for them before shooting. Also, in AB, your speed will be great for capturing points, and if you've encountered some enemies, well, their loss. In RB, it's all different. Less speed, harder to shoot because of strange ballistics and penetration rates. But, on the other hand, you're harder to crack open as well. So, it's time to remember your angling skills. Just remember never to let the enemy see that lower glacis plate of yours. And now, an incredible story of a person that was just too good. It felt like the NKVD was purposefully taking the piss out of everybody who gave a damn about military engineering. By the end of 1937, they had arrested and imprisoned Tupolev and almost all of his loyal comrades. Myasishchev, Petliakov, Korolyov, Kirba. The list goes on and on. Alexander Arkhangelskiy was the only one of the team's leading specialists who walked free. Constant fear of meeting the same fate as his crew haunted him. Every glare, every sudden noise and small movement fed his paranoia. Because of that, he could not carry on with his work, even though it was his duty. The Soviets still needed thousands of bombers. And all these phone calls from Lubyanka, "What's up, Alexander Alexandrovich?" So, one day, he finally broke down. Physically and emotionally exhausted, Alexander Arkhangelskiy went to the NKVD and demanded his own arrest. Just arrested for something, anything at all, so he could continue working with his colleagues, even if it meant working in the prison's construction bureau. This ridiculous inquiry was met with an even more ridiculous answer. In a country whose leader once said something along the lines of,
"If there's a man, we will find something to charge him with."
Arkhangelskiy was absolutely innocent. The government apparently didn't have any legal grounds to lock him up, even if it wanted to. Hell, even if he wanted to. It took Alexander a whole year to see his wish fulfilled. When Lavrenti Beria became a deputy head of People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs, he took pity on the tormented engineer. Beria incarcerated him without pressing any charges and sent him to the Central Construction Bureau number 29, where all of Tupolev's crew has been working all this time. Later, Leonid Kirba said that the first thing Arkhangelskiy said upon his arrival at the prison was, "Thank God, the worst is over." This Special Construction Bureau was busy developing high-speed dive bombers. Now, our hero could finally calm down, regain his cool, and get right back to work. The higher-ups gave him an important task. He was to upgrade the Tupolev SB and somehow transform it into a dive bomber. He redesigned the wings and reduced their size, swapped the circular rotation turret for a sliding glass turtle, and removed both machine guns from the nose glazing of the plane. Essentially, he revamped the base SB model and created a dive-bombing SB-RK model in less than 3 months. More importantly, the plane was ready for mass manufacturing at any moment. However, the SB-RK had a fatal flaw. The tail fin wasn't fit for its new purpose, and in the process of dive bombing, its effectiveness dropped too much. All attempts to upgrade it had failed, and the whole SB modernization project was deemed inexpedient. The higher-ups diverted major production powers to manufacturing a newer, speedier Petliakov VL-100. Despite that, the dive-bombing SB, named the R2, was produced right up until the end of 1941. And it kept fighting the good fight until the beginning of 1945. What was amusing, however, is the fact that Alexander Arkhangelskiy received the Stalin Prize while being a prisoner. The government pardoned him in autumn of 1941. He was sent to Omsk to supervise the development of the soon-to-be-called Tupolev Tu-2. And then, then, being the right-hand man of Andrei Tupolev, Arkhangelskiy partook in all of his friend's post-war projects, earned titles of a Doctor of Technical Sciences and a Hero of Socialist Labor. He also spoke about his high honors with an immeasurable irony because, since a lifetime of misery, he couldn't understand on which side of a barbed wire fence he was on. It's been a while since we've done some challenges. More than a year, in fact, so let's have a new one right now. "2,000 meters above the ground, the plane drops its payload, and the bomb rushes down. Mere moments later, target is eliminated. Child's play. We want to test our bombing proficiency at much higher altitudes. First things first, we need the right tools for the job. We need bombers that are capable of dealing with ground targets from afar many times, not just once. Also, the bombs themselves. It's time to unleash the Fritz-X. Aye. Which planes can carry it? We don't really have much of a choice. Only 2 German Heinkels are suitable for the task, the 111H6 and the 177A5. We'll take the Greif. It flies faster, higher, and most importantly, it can fit 3 Fritz-X bombs instead of just 1. Let's begin with a warm-up. We'll try to hit a single target from a 3,000-meter altitude. Fritz-X with an assault fuse is on board. Let's go. And here's our target. Ready, steady, bombs away! Boom. That was too easy. Let's get to 4,000 meters. It's actually pretty hard to see the enemy from up there, but who cares? Here goes nothing. Yeah, tango down. Next up, 6,000 meters. It's almost impossible to see anything from such a high altitude, so we'll need some sort of aiming assistance. Any landmark can make the job easier. It just needs to be massive enough. Luckily, we created one such landmark earlier. That's the crater from the first explosion. Now, let's estimate the distance. Oh, and the tracer shots of our victim will help with aiming too. Bomb is off. Correcting the fall trajectory. Steady, steady. Gotcha! Merry Christmas! Why don't we climb even higher? Yeah, the altitude of 7,000 meters is perfect. To make things even more difficult, this time we'll try to eliminate a moving target. No, wait, 2 moving targets simultaneously. Altitude reached. Greif approaches its target. See these itty-bitty strokes? That's our mark. Ground units are engaged in a firefight, which helps us predict their movement. Our crater will serve as a landmark again. Estimating target speed, bombs away. This time we'll need to manually control the explosive to the very end. Time almost stops. And miss. Ah well, they won't get away next time, right? Come on, hit him! Yeah! Mission complete. The Greif returns home with glory. Get ready for the traditional last part of our show, Hotline. Developers answering questions from the comments. The first question comes from a user called Tiger Frost.
Do you guys plan on doing the DMM events like the recent Strike Witches crossover for international users who don't have DMM linked accounts? Or is this not possible? Hi there. It would be extremely difficult to do that because of copyrights and other regional restrictions. Let's say
we wouldn't expect anything of the sort in the near future. Lambo writes,
Why even have the hotline if you never really give exact answers?
one more time, all together. Strictly speaking, it's not the most serious-minded section of the show. If you want answers to be given with solemn faces, feel free to appeal to the official War Thunder forums. Here, we'll have a more light-hearted discussion of the big questions of War Thunder. Another question today was sent by Valentin Dio. Will you add submarines? They won't be OP. Hi there, mate. Let's say it isn't the priority right now. We have naval battles and other great things planned for the nearest future, and compared to that, well, the submarines can wait. Maybe we'll come back to them later. And the last very serious message is from Tarang Narayang. India is very the best, but I usually use Soviet Union. As you can see, according to our time-traveled friend, in the long-distant and probably alternative future, where we have Indian tech in the game, Russian bias is still a thing. Well, that's it for today, but feel free to write your questions in the comments below. We do read them all, and you might see some of them answered in the next episode. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you on the shooting range.